So I'm pretty late to the party on this one, as I usually am. But in this segment, I want to talk about how funny it is that Boris Johnson and Chris Grayling get mugged off again. It's honestly one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen. And so what happened was on the Intelligence Select Committee, you had five Conservatives and four non-Conservatives. And what happened was apparently the Labour MPs on the committee said to this guy Julian Lewis, "Do you want to be chair of the committee?" He goes, "Okay." So he's sitting on the committee. So instead of five Tory votes voting for Chris Grayling, you only had four, and you had five votes. So you had the four non-Tories and this guy, the other Tory, vote for himself, and that's how he won. And so Chris Grayling fails again, and so this guy finally put out the Russia report. And look, I don't think there's a lot of things that we already knew. We knew that there's a lot of Russian money in the Conservative Party. We knew that they have a lot of influence in the Conservative Party, and we also know that they spread massive disinformation on Twitter and Facebook. But at the same time, if you're falling for bot propaganda, then I have to question your intelligence. The financial stuff is important. We know that the US is an oligarchy essentially, and whoever has the most money over there typically always wins. And in the UK, we're falling into a similar thing with the Conservative Party and all the Russian money. I don't want to do anything like red baiting and say it's all the fault of the Russians and stuff like that. But what I do want to say is very specifically there are very specific Russians involved in these sorts of things. Funding to the Conservative Party directly. I think one of them was just given a peerage recently. And so I don't want to be one of those people like Russia, the immortal enemy and stuff like that. But I do want to say there are specific Russians, and obviously Big Vlad following through with this disinformation campaign is worth looking out for. And that's one of the reasons why they didn't want the Russia report leaked or released. But I don't think it was that bad, considering no one really cares anymore. No one's really talking about it that much, especially during a pandemic as well. It doesn't seem like a major thing. So this guy here, Julian Lewis, he had the whip removed. So what that means is, like he can vote how he wants because the Conservative Parliamentary Party don't care about him anymore. And I was talking about this with my friends over here, and we're just laughing about it so much. It was so funny. And so you can tell how salty Boris is about this with the fact that he removed the whip from Julian Lewis. So we can see that almost certain Russians sought to interfere in the UK election. So what Rob here is talking about, he's talking about the leaked trade agreement between the US and the UK, which said that the NHS was essentially up for sale. But that was found on Reddit. So he's trying to claim that the Russians leaked on Reddit. It's very possible that they leaked it, but at the same time, they would want if you're talking about what the Russians' interests are, if it's to weaken the EU, they would want us to leave the EU, and they wouldn't have put this information out there because it makes us leaving the EU look worse, and it makes the US UK trade deal look worse by extension, because the Conservative MPs keep saying the NHS isn't up for sale, but they don't vote to protect the NHS. So what Rob's doing is not a clever bit of spin, just a little bit of spin. I think his boy what's the name, man, Cummings is, he's a three-word slogan merchant. That's what he is. And this is terrible spin. And so if we look at this analysis from Koonsberg, let's have a look. Despite many suspicions of the Russians' attempts at meddling in the referendum and other campaigns, significant concrete evidence is in short supply. So it matters that this is the first time a UK minister has made an explicit link to Russia in one way or another trying to meddle in the UK election, but the timing of that statement creates its own intrigue too. Next week, at long last, the powerful group of MPs who monitor the UK's intelligence will publish a report on the Russian threat to the UK. The report has been anticipated for a long time and may perhaps set the record straight on all of this. It's politically convenient for ministers to acknowledge the threat themselves just before others may make embarrassing claims about it. Labour politicians have frequently accused the Conservatives of ignoring Russian interference because of their relationship with Tory party donors. Did it suit the government to publicise the claims that material used by Labour was also manipulated by Russia? It also seems that one former UK ambassador to Moscow said, a remarkable coincidence that the government decided this was the moment for the first time that Russia had tried to stick its nose into our politics, especially when there is a running criminal investigation into who obtained the documents to start with. But Downing Street denies that any link in the timing. And so this is more like crappy analysis. I don't understand how she got the job as the BBC's one of the BBC's top dons. Like, she's so bad. She doesn't, she could specifically cite the examples of Russian money going to the Conservative Party. She could also talk about the fact that, why would the Russians leak this specific document about the trade deal when it makes the government look bad in terms of Brexit. It's just poor from her. It's just, I shouldn't be surprised at this point. It's just terrible analysis from Laura Koonsberg. And I think she should be sacked. I think she should lose her job because she's not very good at it, and her bias is quite apparent. And we can see where she goes from here and see if she does become a Conservative Party spokesperson. So yeah, the fact that this is weak spin, and she doesn't point this out. She's terrible. And so we go to our the next article, the last one. The Tories rely on Russian money. That's why they ignore Russian meddling. Chris Bryant. So I'll do it later. Promise for Guardian. I'll do it later. Anyone who really wants to understand the government's determination to suppress Parliament's intelligence and security committee report on Russia needs to go back to 2009. I was the Europe minister. And my opposite number, Marc Francois, made it abundantly clear that the Tory government intended to normalise relations with Vladimir Putin's Russia. So when Cameron arrived in Downing Street, he wiped the slate clean. Russia was one of the world's major fast-growing economies. We needed to do more trade with Putin and let bygones be bygones. I mean, I suppose that's. I think that's kind of true rhetoric-wise, but at the same time, I think when Russia annexed Crimea, we were also pushing for sanctions to be put on Russia for doing that. So it wasn't just plain sailing like people tried to claim it is. So began the massive influence of Russian money into the UK. Oligarchs squirreled their money away here and dramatically inflated the housing market, specifically in London. In the process, Tier 1 golden visas were handed out like confetti to dubious characters on the sole understanding they had 2 million available to invest in the UK, even if they never invested a ruble here. It's quite red baity, this article, and but what I do want to make the point of this article is that Russian money is obviously influencing the UK and obviously MPs and ministers. And you can try and make the claim that, well, just because they donate money to the party doesn't mean they're trying to buy influence. It's like, absolutely they are. When rich people typically donate to an organisation, it's more used an investment. Why do you think rich dudes always donate to charities but don't pay taxes? Think like, oh well, without this money, X company or X organisation wouldn't get the help that they have. But it's like, we're not asking you to donate to charities. We're asking you just to pay your tax. Anything you do outside of that, no one cares. And so you can see that Russian money is having, is there affecting the Conservative Party. That's one of the reasons why he didn't want the Russia report leaked, because he didn't want people to know about what was going on. But, I found this funny. I'm not as scared of Russian influence. I know, like, all countries do it. They do try and influence elections, and they do try and influence leaders and things like that. The US and the UK are not innocent in this when they held a coup in Iran and multiple other countries. So yeah, no one's innocent in this. Russia do it in more subtle ways, but it's more intelligently done. And at the same time, if people actually did their research properly, it wouldn't impact them as much. But obviously people, whether it's they don't have the time or they don't care or realise how important things like elections are, that's a whole separate issue. But I just found it funny how Chris Grayling managed to lose a committee race he was parachuted into, and how salty Boris Johnson was over it. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.